Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Who's the best fighter at 154 pounds? Is it Jaime Munguia? Is it Jarrett Hurd? Is it Landy Lara? Is it Jermell Charlo? Who is the best fighter at 154 pounds? Is it Tony Harrison? Is it Dennis Hogan? Who is it? So let's just break it down. And these are a myriad of responses from subscribers. So we're just going to start going through them one by one and just break them down and come to our conclusion. As of right now, we have Matador Hernandez. He states Jarrett Hurd has done the most. Lara has been on the decline for a while now. Charlo is all talk and Munguia is all hype. And that is Matador Hernandez. And I couldn't have said it better. Jarrett Hurd has done the most, has won a lot. Landy Lara has been declining, but depending on how you saw that fight with Hurd, he did expose a lot of weaknesses in Hurd. Hurd allows his face to be a punching bag, so I wouldn't say that Hurd is unbeatable, but he is probably edging because of his resume at this point and because of Lara's decline. Jermell Charlo is all talk. He just recently lost to Tony Harrison, and if he loses the rematch against Tony Harrison, then he's out of the contention for the top fighter at 154 altogether. Jaime Munguia, some people felt like he was exposed against Hogan in his most recent fight. But if you look at Jaime Munguia, I've already stated that I truly believe that Jaime Munguia is too green at this point, needs to refine his defense, his boxing skills. He has shown vast improvement, but he's a very raw talent, and he has the potential to be a very good and talented fighter, but he's not at that level yet. So people putting up there with Triple G and Canelo saying he's ready, he's nowhere near that level. He's nowhere near ready for that type of challenge. And styles also do make fights. So while many people are down on Jaime Munguia saying he's all hype and he's not that good, Jaime Munguia is still a very good fighter, still very talented. He's just not elite or top level fighter as of yet. He's still growing, he's still progressing, he's still young. Who knows how good Jaime Munguia will be in 3 or 4 years if he continues to develop and if he fixes his defensive deficiencies. You have to realize this guy's only 22 years old. He can fix those defensive deficiencies. The question is, will he? But let's keep going. JB states, one of the weakest divisions in the sport. I got Hurd. Potential-wise, he is the best out of the crop. He has the biggest future moving forward. His walk-down style will win him a lot of fights. And if Lara was not able to get it done against him, I doubt any other fighters in the divisions can outbox him, because I definitely think they can't stop him. Too big, too strong at 154. Very good breakdown, JB. I will say this about Hurd. I thought Lara edged that fight by a round. That's just my opinion. A lot of people felt that way, that Lara was robbed, but at the same time, Lara took too much punishment and was dropped in that fight. So I can't be mad that you gave it to Hurd, or if you gave it to Lara, or if it was a draw. I understand these are close fights, and Lara did not look impressive, especially at the end getting dropped. So, I think Jarrett Hurd's style is great and conducive for dominating at 154 pounds because he's so big and physically imposing. But the problem with Hurd's style is I don't believe that it'll win him a lot of top-level fights going forward, because when Jarrett Hurd has already stated about moving up in weight to 160, and he thinks that Danny Jacobs is the best style for him, and I think Danny Jacobs may be the worst style, because not only can Danny Jacobs box very well, he can punch very hard. I think Danny Jacobs would stop Jarrett Hurd at 160 pounds. I just don't think Hurd is ready for the top elite level fighters at 160. I think he'd put on a good showing. I think he'd be a good fight and a respectable name, but I don't think that he beats Demetrius Andre, Danny Jacobs, Canelo Alvarez, or Triple G at 160 pounds. I simply don't see it. He has too many defensive deficiencies. But let's keep going. El Numero Uno Soto says, nobody really to me. They're all unproven. And I can respect that as well, because to some degree, Jarrett Hurd followed declining Lara, and he didn't win convincingly, in my opinion. That was a very, very close fight. Brett says Lara. Insane 37 says probably Hurd and the Munguia if you got a new trainer. And Munguia has the potential to get there, but it's going to take time. He's going to need to fix all those flaws. Emmanuel Moreno said if I had to choose someone, it would be Hurd. The top 5 for me is I follow Hurd, Lara, Munguia, Liam Smith, Kell Brook. On the outside looking in is Dennis Hogan and Takashi Inui. Not sold on Brian Castano, Charlo, and then Harrison. And that's a very interesting breakdown. He kind of went in a little bit more detail, but I was not able to get into all that. But he did ask, what do I think? Would it be interesting to see what I have to say as far as Dennis Hogan versus Kell Brook? He believes that Kell Brook would come out victorious. I think that that'll be a fantastic fight, Dennis Hogan versus Kell Brook in the UK. And if Dennis Hogan gets past, Jaime Munguia in the rematch, then I think that'll be a hell of a fight for Kell Brook. It'll be a next great chance at a world title. I think Kell Brook could win that fight. I think that's a very winnable fight for Kell Brook. And I think Kell Brook may even be looking at Jaime Munguia as a much more winnable fight now. But let's not count out Jaime Munguia because he could still win either one of those potential matches as well. There's so many good matches to be made right now at 154 to pretty much test all the unproven guys and rematches that are needed. Great breakdown. The next one comes from Ricardo Lopez. He basically states the best at 154 has to be Hurd. The only unified champion at 154. Lara is not the same anymore, and Munguia is still green. Agree. Joey Ocean says Hurd, the only PBC fighter who is not an Al Heyman ducker. Interesting. Luis Ochoa says Hurd to me has enough to beat everyone at 154. Have to be honest, I didn't like his rough style when I first saw him, but for some reason he's always pulled it off. I know you don't think he beat Lara, but I thought he did and loved the way he made Lara slow down with all the body work. Hurd, best at 154. Much respect, Luis, and I have respect. If you felt like he won the fight, he definitely could have, because it was a very close fight, very competitive. Maybe I didn't judge around properly, and then the knockdown at the end could have sealed it for him. Much respect. Maldonado S basically states Hurd's the only one who has the balls to unify, and his resume is better than Charlo or Munguia. Very good point. The Destroyer 345 Furious Man says, I say Hurd because of his relentless pressure. He beat Lara in a close fight, and I think he would beat Charlo too. Munguia is not ready for the world-class fighters. It's Hurd for me. The best fight is Hurd versus Charlo after he gets his belt back. Also, Hurd has 2 belts. Great point. Flash the Hype Man says, I say Hurd, he has 2 full belts. He's already unified, so in my view, he's tops on the pile. I agree. Technically speaking, is Lara. Hurd needs to move up in weight, and this is from David Cotetto. I can respect that too, because Lara has never really lost a fight by a blowout. It's always been very close, controversial fights. Steve 3 says Swift. Hybrid 95 says Hurd. So I think the consensus pick here at the IBFP is most people feel like Jarrett Hurd. I would probably have to concur, but I also think that Erislandy Lara is very strong in contention and would be a problem for anyone going forward. But once again, unbiased as always is the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.